and before you start your story, you got to have a protagonist. Absolutely. Then the protagonist is that main person in the story, the good guy. In Endgame, it was Iron Man, and then the supporting cast.
Welcome everybody to this week's DNA Supersystems Innovation Session. It's awesome to be with you guys and to share some of valuable business trinkets, latest digital transformation tweaks and hacks. And today we are going to talk about StoryBrand, what it entails for your business to tell its story, to help your clients be the hero. And we have one of our innovator specialists, John Nell, again on the system with us. For those that don't know, we specialize in digital transformation, websites, software solutions, funnel strategies, digital marketing, the works. And what we're trying to accomplish with our sessions in this weekly, let's say, live events, is just to bring value to your business and to make the digital space a better, more valuable place out there. So, John, without further ado, you can take it away. It's hi to our people out there, and it's awesome to have you online with us again.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning, Andre. Trust you're well today.
Well, awesome.
To everyone out there that subscribes to our channels and listen to our content, awesome to be with you guys this morning. And once again, with our innovation broadcast, this week we're going to touch certain things that can just add value to your business or to your concept in this whole disruptive world that suddenly came upon us, and which COVID actually just accelerated. It accelerated all the drivers and all the principles of Industry 4.0, which is the fourth industrial revolution. It just accelerated the process and thrusted the world 5 years. What would have taken 5 years to implement, it thrusted it upon humanity and upon business. And so everybody needs to be adaptable and flexible. And within the disruption, there's so much opportunity. And this is what this show is all about. It's about the opportunity and the various things that we can empower you with so that you can make the most use of innovation to actually gain more traction with your business concept and open up new markets.
Awesome. Sorry, I had my mic muted there. So John, today we want to chat about StoryBrand and what it really entails for your business to stand out from other business, not just to give out this loads of information and hope people will come to your website or to your Facebook group or some of your ads. What does it really take, and why is it such an important element of your business to communicate this?
All right, Andre, the first thing is that everybody has a brand and everybody is a brand. We're living in the age where it's not just the brand of your organization or the brand of your message, but you as a person also represent the brand. And a personal brand is so important in this age that we are living in. And now specifically concerning your products and whatever service it is that you are serving to your community or to your tribe. We like to refer to it as your tribe. There are people that follow your message. Your message might be anything. You might be an accountant. You might be whatever it is, whatever solution it is that you are bringing to your market. So a story brand is what we call a narrative of your brand. And it goes beyond the product or the specifications or the usage of the product that you have. Now, in the third industrial revolution, everybody was very much focused on the product. It's all about this product. The product is so phenomenal and the product is great. And you use this toothpaste and it's this brand, and we brand it until we get that brand into your subconscious mind, so that when you go to the shop, you would buy that brand specifically. But the rules have changed. And what happens now is you've got to be very clever to get into the minds of people, because you are fighting for the attention of people. Everybody is trying to get everyone's attention. When you take your phone and you just swipe to the right, you have some Google News and some news coming into your feed. And all they're doing is they're trying to get your attention to go to a certain website that gives you information and certain content. And within that, there are certain advertising structure that is in there, built in there, because those messages, that news feed is given to you because based upon an algorithm of your interest and your attention. You got to understand that your attention is the greatest commodity at the moment, and whoever can buy your attention, people will pay money to get your attention. And if they know exactly, do you think Facebook and all these social media guys and everybody is just so wonderful just to serve you and connect you? No. They've built a profile from you. They've built a profile. They know exactly, and that profile data is sold through certain advertising structures. How you can be reached, and you have a specific need, and then that need appears, and as it appears to you, because you are in the market to actually buy that solution that you might be needing. It might be fishing tackle. It might be you're in diving equipment, or in hunting, you looking for a new hunting rifle. But there's a specific profile. Now, why is a story brand so important? Because if you don't have a different story brand, if you don't have something unique, you won't stand out among the crowd of everybody screaming for attention. Now, let me give you an example. You go to you go to a. I remember when I was in Manchester, I went to watch a soccer match in Manchester at Old Trafford, and the whole stadium, everybody was painted like red, and they were wearing red clothes and supporting Manchester. And there was a small section at the bottom where the day that they played Derby County. Now that was blue and yellow, and there was only this little. I mean, there were like 20 people who risked their lives going in there with blue and yellow clothes, and the police were standing around them anyway. But they were standing out amongst the sea of red. They were standing out, and everybody's focus was on them. And so when everybody sang, and they sing these songs, it was like they were singing for them and yelling at them and telling them how terrible their team is. But they were standing out among the crowd. And there's so much voices, and there's certain psychology. It's proven psychology. You see it in every movie. You see it everywhere. There's a proven psychology, how you get your brand to stand out. If you just want to just be another corporate logo and another corporate emblem between X7 solutions competing with O9 solutions, it's just, people won't remember it. It's not memorable. It's not unique. There's not a story connected. So a brand story is really exactly what it is. It's a narrative. Yeah. It's a narrative. It's a storytelling art of your brand, of your products, and it's packaging it into the vehicle of storytelling. Now, you don't remember a lot of things that you see, but I can ask you and say, can you remember in Endgame, the movie of Marvel, can you remember the character struggle that this lead character had? And he had to make a decision. He was a very selfish character. Through all the movies, he was a very selfish character, and then he became very unselfish in the end. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, at the moment you saw the suit that he had on. At this moment, you saw the actor. Yeah. And you know exactly what it is. And you know in that moment what he did with his hand. Yes. And it's because it was packaging to a story. Now, here's the power. And we also do this in some of our other courses within DNA Superheroes. Is that the one thing why StoryBrand is so important is that this mind that we have from here to the top is a very logical mind. Everything is figures and facts, and it's processes and steps. You don't remember steps. You don't remember all the processes and the figures and that. But the mind that you communicate to when you go with a story is really the mind that's at the bottom here. It's the subconscious mind. A story goes deep into the subconscious mind because a story connects to certain emotion. It doesn't connect to the logic and to the facts and to all that. You didn't watch Endgame because it was wonderful, because step 1, Iron Man got the mask. Step 2, he put his fingers. Step 3, he snapped his fingers. You never did that. It connected to a certain emotion. And that is so important. What you have here is what we call, in some of our courses, we call it the image maker. Because whatever goes in here through a story and an image, you remember. That's why you got to sit with school books and study. And when you're in university, remember step 1, step 2, you've got to remember the algorithms and the steps. And so one of the learning techniques was that you teach people a story. How do they remember? And so there's learning techniques that they teach children in school. You put everything into a story and you use vivid imagination. You see yourself walking around doing that. And once you see that image, you actually connect it to a logical concept. And when you're going to a test, so this
See
mind,
that. I remember I used to do it with biology, with the when you learn about the photosynthesis. Is that the correct English? I hope so. Yeah,
right.
so you see the leaf, see the green leaf and the descriptions and everything, and it helped a lot. Yeah, if you connect that story to,
because it goes to your image maker, Andre. It goes to where your memory. I mean, you don't remember how you made toast when you were 7 years old, except if you got your first electric shock. But you might remember some incident or story or somebody that came to your house when you were 7. You remember the story, and so your memory is made up of story, and it's either a memorable events. I mean, you don't remember what your math teacher told you in grade 11 in March month, in the month of March. You don't. But you remember an incident, a funny incident in that class.
Yeah.
When somebody took a fire hose and sprayed everybody with a fire hose in that class. You remember the story. And so the real thing is when people come together and on a Friday night and they have a braai, and for American people, that's actually called a barbecue. But a braai is a way better word.
Yeah, for sure.
It means it's like a sociable, nice thing with flames and fire and meat. But when you come together, it's normally people talk stories.
Yeah.
They don't sit and share a lot of, they share stories. And so when you build a story around your brand, there's a couple of things that you got to remember. You got to get away from this logical thing. Yes, put all your logical steps and sequences and how you funnel people and how you have a marketing funnel and you get people from cold leads into hot leads, into warm leads, into your pipeline and into your sales pipelines and all the wonderful, beautiful marketing stuff that we do in getting clients. But what makes them stick and what makes you stick out is a story brand. Now, if you really want to find out more about, there's a gentleman that wrote a book about it. It's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Phenomenal book that goes into it. And what I will be sharing today is basically what he covers in his book, but in a very, very short way. So the first thing is your brand story and the story brand is really about what you mean to your customers. What do you mean to your customers? And how would you enrich their lives? And what is it that you do? That has got to be building to your story brand so that they can remember it. Now, every story, you can go watch The Matrix, you can go watch Gladiator, you can go watch Braveheart, you can go watch Star Wars. Every story, Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, all these memorable stories have certain elements in it. And besides the elements, it's really got the same storyline. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share with you that storyline just to empower you so that you can see how you can use it. And I'll give you an example how we use it. So there's certain elements that I mean, we all know it when you think about a story. And before you start your story, you've got to have a protagonist. Absolutely. Then the protagonist is that main person in the story, you know, the good guy. In Endgame, it was Iron Man. And then the supporting cast. Supporting cast is all the supporting actors and everybody with him. And then the narrative, the story specifically, what it's about and what do you want to achieve through the narrative. I mean, we are being fed a narrative through news channels. We are being fed a narrative through all the different news channels, through social media. And there is a protagonist and there is a supporting cast and news. Everything works in this way. If you understand this, you will see that's everywhere. There's a narrative. And you can either swallow the narrative or you can think critically about things. But what you want to do is you want to give your narrative about the solution that you have. Now, the first thing to remember is the protagonist. This is with an old way of thinking is X7 solutions. And then X7 Solutions has some personnel solutions for an organization. Then they promote X7 as X7 is the protagonist. The company who has this product is the protagonist. The company is not the protagonist. The customer is the protagonist. That's so important to understand. The
Okay.
customer is the protagonist. And in the supporting cast, I'm talking movie terms now.
Yeah.
In supporting cast, your brand, X7 Solutions, is the supporting cast. So let me explain it to you this way. If it's fine with you, I'm going to share just a small little,
Awesome.
just
Awesome.
5 slides quickly for everyone to, let me just share this. Share. All right. So a story brand. So for a story brand, there's specifically 7 things. There's 7 things that you got to remember. There's a character. And that character is your customer. He's the protagonist. Your customer is the hero. Your brand
Yeah.
is not the hero. If you are doing nails and nails is and you're doing manicures and pedicures and you know some foot spas and you've got a type of a salon, then your customer is the hero. It's not the brand. It's not the type of nails that you promote. You promote the solution. And how do you know what that customer has? That customer has a problem. That customer is biting their nails. And when they are among people, they feel shy. Their self-esteem is affected because they bite their nails. And so when that customer is among other ladies and tea parties, she has a problem and it affects her self-esteem when she wants to do something because good looking nails is nice. So
Yeah.
that customer is the hero with a problem. And so that problem needs a solution. So step 2 is that you position your story and about the hero. And here's the thing, companies tend to sell solutions to external problems, but customers buy solutions to internal problems. I
That's
just
true.
explained to you, there's a self-esteem problem. So companies say, we have this wonderful nail solution and buy this nails and this nails that it will look exactly like your own nails and you can stick it on by yourself, DIY glue. Listen, ladies, I know nothing about manicures and pedicures. So if I butcher it, it's because I don't know much about it. But they'll sell you the product like this infomercial type of vibe. And this is where there's an old generation of thinking where they sell that product. Where customers don't buy that product, they buy the solution because that solution is really the solution to an internal problem. There's always an internal problem.
Yeah.
Even somebody
If
that
you,
wants to build say they want to build a room onto the house, an extra room. The internal problem is that there is a space problem. They have too many people in their room, and in the house, 2 teenagers are staying together. The one is 13, the other one is 15, and they started to get in each other's heads, and there's conflict inside the house. So there's always an internal problem. And this is where story brand is so important. You've got to identify the internal problem and you solve that. But the external problem is the solution that they buy.
yes.
Do you want to say something, Andre?
No, sorry. Yeah, I wanted to if you think about it as well, uh, if you put yourself in the shoes of someone looking for a solution, it's because you have the internal problem. So you'll go and Google and YouTube, say, how do I fix this? How do I do? And if your brand can communicate that solution, then automatically you meet the customer where the need is. Instead of telling people, okay, this is what you need, but there's not really a need. Before I see a lot of new people or new startups and me being involved with that. If you create that need where people don't even know that they need it, it's a much harder task to create a totally new story than something that's already out there in the world, that is a problem that you can immediately solve. You can solve internal problems that's immediately available, basically.
But this requires a change in thinking because you got to identify within your copy in the way that you market it. You got to identify what is the internal problem. So for the example that I just said, for people, say they got 4 people staying in a house, and these 2 teenagers are staying in a room, and there's not another room available. The internal problem is there are conflict that they experience because of
Yes.
limited space. The external problem that they are having is, I don't have this room yet, but I want to build this room because I want to fix the internal problems that I have. There's an internal problem. And so you got to market towards the internal problem in your narrative. The narrative is not aimed. The old companies is always aimed at selling the solution to the external to the external problem. You don't. Your narrative is never aimed at that because it's aimed at conflict and bringing a solution to conflict and changing the inner world. So the
Making
first thing
people's
is
lives better, in essence, making them
that's it.
happy again. Yeah. A
That,
good story makes you happy. If you watch Endgame, you're happy when the good guys win. That's
absolutely. Just that Captain America came back old. I didn't like that. But but so so number one is there's a character, and the character is a hero. Now we'll get to that a little bit later. Your character is a hero. The customer is the hero, and the hero has a problem. But then he meets a guide. This is you the supporting cast. The
okay.
customer
Wow.
is the protagonist. He meets a guide. And customers is not looking for another hero. They don't want to see company X7 that promotes all their products and they have the best courses on this and the best this and the best this, and they do all these wonderful things. They want to find a guide. They're looking for a guide that can help them. And how do you help them in your story? You give them a plan.
Mm.
And once you give them a plan, your customer will trust you. If you give your customer a plan and say, listen, you are a hero with a problem, and I come alongside you and I give you a plan. This is how you can build. This is how you can fast track the process of getting the building plans. We do it for you. We get it signed off. We do the building, and you have a dedicated team on, and there's a 20% discount, blah, 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 whatever it is. And you don't aim it at the building, but aim it at what value and benefit this new room will add to your house, and how you can enjoy the open space, and how everybody has more freedom, and how less friction. And but what happens is you call them to action. So once you identify the internal need, you bring alongside the plan, and then you call them to action for that plan. Take action concerning that plan. And customers do not take action unless they are challenged to take action. Unfortunately, you have to challenge them. And this is the thing. Once you challenge somebody and they take action, they move with a guide and a coach. You come alongside them as a guide and you guide them to the solution and you present them the solution, and they walk away. They walk away very, very happy because you help them to avoid failure. And you know what? This is one thing that all humans are trying to do, is to try and avoid failure. Try
Yeah, that's
avoid a
true.
tragic ending. None of us want a tragic ending. And the result is success. So you must never assume people understand how your brand changed their lives. You got to tell them how your
Oh,
brand
that's
changed their
cool.
lives. So there's the 7 basic elements. It's a character. That character is the hero. Your client is the hero who has a problem. They meet a guide. You give them a plan. Then you call them to action. And that action will result in success, and you will avoid failure. Now, just that, there I can tell you, let's look at the movie Matrix. Matrix, there's a guy, Neo. He has a problem. He knows that there's something wrong with the world. Then he meets a guide with the name Morpheus. And Morpheus gives him a plan to train him in all different kind of software so that he can go back in the virtual reality world of the Matrix. And that action is that he should go break the code and defeat the agents. And it results in success. Zion is saved. That's it. Star
Awesome.
Wars. Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yoda.
Luke has a problem. He meets Yoda. Yoda trains him in the Force. He calls him to action to fight Darth Vader and the evil empire, and it results in the Death Star being destroyed. Success and failure for the empire. Cinderella, she has a problem. She's got some evil stepsisters and like a horrific mother-in-law. But she meets some lady flying around, some fairy
Godmother. Yeah.
flying around. They give her a plan. Go get a couple of mouses and get a pumpkin. And she calls her to action. And that action is do this, do this, do this, and wear the slippers, but you've got to be back before. And it results in the kingdom being saved. These elements is in every single story, every blockbuster,
That's very
every
true.
Oscar. Now go change this. Then you have this crazy, sick dramas, deep art type of movies that is like, it's not the blockbusters. These are the basic elements. And you can go in your own life and go look at certain places in your life where you are the hero, where you have a problem, and then along came somebody who guided you, who gave you a plan and called you to action, and they help you achieve a success.
Oh,
And so this taps into the psychology of people. There's Star Wars. I just gave that with the Star
yeah.
Wars. So what we normally say, even there's the Hunger Games. You know, Katniss
Oh,
Everdeen,
yes.
she must survive the Hunger Games.
Mockingbird.
She meets Haymitch. Give her a plan. She must get sponsors. The call to action is, listen, you get sponsors, you can defeat President Snow, and but you got to go fight in the Hunger Games. And it results in Katniss lives in 12 districts that rejoices. And if there's failure in that, Katniss dies and District 12 is crushed. Her whole family is crushed. So,
And that was my next question. I think you're getting practical steps how to help businesses to create this. Is there a way that we can make this available, or can people get in contact with you running?
no,
Because in essence, we serve as guides as well
yeah, we
to
serve
help.
as guides concerning digital solutions. So,
Yeah.
any person who wants from startup, who wants to have who wants their marketing strategy, from funnel systems to automations to content development and all that type of stuff, because we have set up a lot of challenges and courses and within our different structures of our companies, and we have a lot of clients in the industry of accountants and doctors and people that we provide solutions to. But it's based upon a story brand that will help them. And
Yes.
Andre, some of our big clients that we do in the medical industry, there's a story brand that we work into it.
Yep.
Now, there's a worksheet, and what I'll do is maybe we'll share this worksheet and just put the worksheet as a PDF and a link
We
to
can
the
do that.
PDF somewhere. What we'll do is, but it's a basic worksheet that I've used and that we use a lot of times when we work with clients, is that the first thing as a character, you've got to ask yourself, what do they want? What do your client, what do that person, what do they want? Not what do you want them to buy your product.
Yes.
That's the first thing. I want you to buy my product. I want you to, no. What do they want? That person wants the conflict in their house to be gone. That lady who wants the nails, she wants her self-esteem to grow. She wants her self-esteem. She feels very conscious about her nails being like that. So that is what that person wants. And you go write a narrative, a story concerning this. And this is where real advertising is very, very good with this. And then you got to identify that person that do not have that extra room on the house, who has a shortage of space, but they cannot afford it. Who's the villain? The villain is the building industry that charges double and do not finish the contract, and they tell you it will take you 3 months and they don't do it. So you will tap into that problem. Are you scared of the building industry, who normally promises the world but don't deliver? Who give the problems of a project plan and the frustration of not finishing the job within the allocated time? So then you face this. Do you have an external problem that you do not have space and you need extra space? So then you go into the external problem. So there's a villain.
Yes.
There's always a fictitious villain. Even within our DNA superheroes, we have within Supersystems, we have this whole corporate vibe of villains who takes 9 months to move a box.
Deliver. Yeah.
To move a box. It takes 9 months with all the policy and the protocols to get something done. That's our fictitious villain that we have. We deal with a lot of times with that. But and what we say with the problem is, then you eliminate the external problem, and then you go for the internal problem, and then there's a philosophical problem that you solve with this. That's the real thing. You know, if you touch a philosophical problem, and we do this a lot in DNA Superheroes, people who've been through our stuff in DNA Superheroes will exactly see and understand. And this is what we do when we help people structure their courses and structure, and we're doing it for a couple of people, some of our clients. Then we help them through all these type of stuff. And but I mean, we show you what we do. We are there to empower you. And then they meet the guide, and then the empathy side is, if you really know what that person wants, only then can you show empathy. It's very important that it's sincere empathy, and not, oh, I've got empathy for your situation because I want your money, honey. That's not why.
Yeah.
It's because you really wanna, you as a guide and as a coach, you want to empathize with that person because you want to feel what they feel and experience what they feel.
Or it's usually the case that we felt that what you feel. We've been there. We've done that. Got the stretch marks. What's got the t-shirt.
You're absolutely right. So think of Mother Teresa. She had empathy for those people. And the moment you can show empathy, only then you can present yourself as an authority. If you have the solution, you have authority. And then you can present yourself as so a lot of people just want to show the authority first. Oh, we can bring that and bring that solution. No, first show empathy. Then you have authority to relieve the pain. Take them away from pain towards pleasure. That's the main thing of this. And then you give them a plan. Now, the first thing about the plan is there's a process to the plan. There's always a process. So you got to understand what the workflow, what the process is that you're going to, the solution that you give. So this lady with the nails, you say, you know, we've got a wonderful process for you. We're first going to book you. And then when you arrive here, you're going to receive a wonderful cappuccino from our unique signature blend suppliers. And then you're going to move through to our top nail. So she'll get a mail or some automated process explaining the booking system, etc. How she will get it. She will move into the process. And you got to think in the plan. If she comes for her nails and she sits and you can help her with the nails, what other need does she have? She might have a hair need. She might have another need. But that need in that process, there is an upsell. There's a greater solution because you are establishing rapport with that person. And then in that process, there is an agreement in that plan. And then you call them to action. And there's a direct action to take action concerning this. Because they'll sit there and wonder, okay, should I, when I interact with the StoryBrand, should I go get my nails done at this place? What makes this place different? And then that action is of such a nature that transitions them. It transitions them always from their current position towards their new position. Now, within our DNA superhero structure, that's huge. That's absolutely huge in the calls to action that what we do. We give people a process, a plan, we take them into agreement, and people who've been through it will understand what I'm talking about now. And then we take them into absolute transition, that we have people who phone us, people who send us mails and say, it's ridiculous, the quantum leaps that we have taken. And it's that transitional process, which is so important, that your call to action must give to people. And that you always, what happens is you transition them to a place that ends in success. Always. She walks away there with nails. Beside that, she walked away with a good coffee, good customer experience, 10% off the next time she's coming, a customer loyalty card. After 5 times, she gets a free nail and a foot spa. A follow-up email that fires automatically in 2 weeks, giving the opportunity to book another one, to keep that nails intact while the other nails are growing at the bottom, with another follow-up mail that gives you advice how to quit the habit of biting nails. So that
all
is
those valuable content to help just enrich your life.
Yes, that's when you will stand out. So the whole thing about from a hero, your client is the hero, but the hero goes through what we call character transformation. And so they start you with a problem, and once they finish with you as a guide, they have transformed in character to a higher position. And that's very important, because you will establish rapport and once you establish real rapport, referrals will flow.
Yeah.
All right. So that's basically it from my side that I wanted to share concerning a story brand. Just some insightful things. And if I can say this last thing, Andre, because the how is very important. When you create a story, all I want to do is advise you to work with metaphors and analogies, symbols. Bring symbols, metaphors, and analogies in, because those are the things that really stick to what I call the image maker. When somebody speaks in a metaphor, there's so much power and impact that you can say through a certain metaphor. A metaphor has the ability to give a way bigger concept than just a normal, let me give you an example of a metaphor. So for anybody listening now, I want you just to say, I'm going to say 2 words and then you say 1 word. Life is I said 3 words, sorry. Life is a.
Life, it can go great ways. Or
What do you say, Andre? Life is a
ball.
A ball.
Yeah.
So what mean the metaphor, what you just communicated is that life is a ball. So is that like
it's enjoyable and it's
So the metaphor that you think through is that it's a game. So a game is of such a nature, you can win the game and you can lose the game. So somebody else would say life is a gift. Then it means what? You got to look after, because a gift could be stolen. A gift can be, there's a lot of things that can happen, but a gift is also valuable. A gift that can be precious. Some people would say life is a song. Well, some days you'll be on tune, some days you won't be on tune. But a metaphor creates a framework of understanding. And so if you can bring metaphor in your story brand, into your story brand, immediately you communicate on a way deeper level than just logical mind. You want to bypass this mind. You want to get the facts in here, but you want to get into this mind, because that's where the decision making really is influenced from. It's the image maker. Because if I tell you right now, purple dog with green spots, purple flying dog with green spots, purple flying ninja dog with green spots, blowing up party balloons at a party, and each child taking a balloon, and suddenly they fly up to 2 feet in the air, and they're having a pillow fight 2 feet in the air while holding on to one balloon. Immediately you will think, what on earth are you talking about? But I'm telling you a small little story, but there's vivid imagination involved.
For some reason I saw the dog as Pluto, and now it transformed, because it's easy for a cartoon to transform into something like that.
And that's why behavior in people is so easily programmable by media and by form. Culture is programmed by media. And I mean, people who don't have the awareness to understand that culture is shaped by how media present the world to you. My personal opinion is an independent thinker and a critical thinker is the most dangerous. It's very dangerous because they can think critically and independent from a narrative. And so you've got to make sure that you present your narrative and your story brand with integrity, and that backs up the plan and that what you have as a guide for the hero. I think about our DNA superheroes, the people who've gone through our stuff. I always come back and say, it's just, let me go. That's it. And we call our people in DNA superheroes. I mean, we call them heroes. We call them by their name. We call you a hero. You are rising. And so it's important that you bring in this into metaphors, analogies, symbols, and stories. And you package your stuff into a vehicle. And people, if it's very memorable, think about Buffelsfontein baardolie.
Bederf yourself.
Hey?
Bederf yourself.
Yo, Robert. No, what's so good about that? I saw this one where the guy with the beard comes and he says about a bakkie.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one? And it says, I don't drive a bakkie. My dog eats out of a bakkie. He drives a Hilux. He said it was a Hilux, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Buffalo
Oh,
Fontaine bar.
cruiser. I think it's
Oh,
either
Land
Hilux or
Cruiser.
a cruiser. Yeah.
But there's a reason why he said it, because he somehow is affiliated to that,
Yeah.
to say that. But it's so clever, the whole narrative, because
It
it will stick
shifts
in your
the
mind.
whole storyline, definitely. Yeah.
It shifts in your mind. If you're a man and you got a beard, you don't drive a bucky. Your dog eats out of a bucky. So it's there's a lot of things that you communicate into your story
Yeah.
brand. And it's those little things that come together and it stick, because you want to stick and be memorable with your customers.
Mm. Just to maybe to end this off, but also to bring some clarity, but a story brand and your whole branding strategy isn't necessarily the same thing, but they have to have synergy with it. I don't know if you want to touch on branding strategy in
Yeah.
case in
Okay, so branding strategy is a story brand is part of your bigger brand strategy.
yeah.
In other words, you obviously have a brand guide and you've got to work towards a brand guide, and you've got to have the right identity, the right, let's say, corporate identity, the right logo. It's got to resemble something. You want to create your logo and a brand.
But it
Don't
comes basically from the story of your life, of where your business
yes,
started, and yeah.
yes. So if you got a logo and there's not a symbol behind that logo and a meaning, then you never really did concept development on your logo.
Mm.
You just thought what looks nice. Your logo should not just be a logo. There should be a story behind the logo. If anybody asks you what's the story behind the logo, it shouldn't be, oh, we gave it to that designer, he came up with 5 designs and this one looked the nicest.
Mm.
Then you have never thought really about your brand. You've never thought about it. You've never thought about, if somebody asks, what is this about? That you can say, well, let me show you these elements and this and this, and this actually refers to that and that. Second thing is, when you do a logo, it's good to bring the Fibonacci ratio in. It means how it looks to the eye. Today, we saw a logo of a client, which I was just mortified. I mean, we looked at the logo and it's like, do we really want to put our logo next to that? They got a fantastic thing that they're doing, but the logo is just horrifying.
Mm.
So brand is a way bigger thing. It's got to do with way more, from brand ambassadors to story brand is just part of your bigger branding strategy. I mean, your brand strategy has got to be, branding goes from promotional items and everything. How do you put your brand and how do you project it out there? You don't want to project 20 messages in your brand.
Yep.
You want to project that brand. If I tell you a brand right now, let's go McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's. I only eat the chips, but I don't eat McDonald's. I don't like it. They got good chips,
But their branding is good.
but the branding is good.
The
The
story.
branding is phenomenal. And you hear, I'm loving it. But you know what McDonald's brand used to be 20 years ago? It was make every day a McDonald's day.
Wow.
Yes, make
The
every
two
day.
brothers when it was still them.
No, it was I don't know if it was when Ray Kroc took it over, they made this tune. And it was up till 2001, 2000. It said, make every day a McDonald's day. And so what happens is people started making everyday McDonald's day, and then this guy went and made a movie.
Oh, I
Supersize.
remember that. Yeah, the 30-day supersize. Yeah.
And his real thing is that he was influenced by the branding. So he went and made every day. And so immediately after that movie,
They
they
changed
changed the
it. Yeah,
narrative.
because he won the court case, didn't he? Yeah.
Yes. They changed it and they realized our story brand is we want to make you everyday McDonald's day, but we don't want to say that you'll make you go in the hospital you stay. That they didn't want to tell you because you can't eat McDonald's for
30 days straight.
Days.
Yep. Almost died.
So they changed their brand. So when you're talking about, there's got to be a bigger brand strategy. And you've got to think it through from your colors. You've got to think what is the aesthetic. You've got to think white spacing. You've got to think from your brochures to your advertising to your copywriting to the way that you present yourself to your brand ambassadors. It's a bigger strategy for your organization. It's how to position your brand in the market among the other people. So a lot of people don't care about this. They just go get
just
a logo,
throw something out.
get a logo.
See where it sticks.
Let's hope somebody likes it. I believe start badly to get it started, but you got to evolve your brand the whole time. You got to revisit it, evolve it. If you have to change things as it evolves, evolve it. But look at a brand story, get your story out. People
Comes
will listen.
back to our first video that we did about MVP. If you guys want to go check it out on our YouTube channel or on the previous Facebook feeds, we talked about MVP, about minimum viable product, getting that out there. But everything is interconnected in the end. But I think also something that you touched on, where we can maybe make a new video, but how the importance of the process flow of mapping out where you want to go, how this whole strategy looks, and where this what's really needed to maintain this business and to help it run smoothly, a good oiled business.
I think that's maybe a next time.
Definitely, yeah.
Like we can look at a process flow. But I just want to end it off with a branding. So now next one, I think, Andre, let's do a process and take a look at the process, especially when people want to digitally transform their businesses. It's all got to do with the processes. But just to say, with the general brand, and you don't have a product failure a lot of times because you've got a good product. You've got a brand failure.
That's true.
And you got to know, when you work with people, emotions drive their decisions. Yep. So if you want to know concerning a brand, I always think of a brand is how a person would feel about your product and service. When they think about your product and service, think about Xbox, and certain people's faces would light up because it makes them how they feel when they play Xbox. And you tell another friend of mine, you go PlayStation 4, and he'll light up and he'll go, no, not Xbox. But it's got to do with your brand. It's got to do with what I call emotional associations. There's emotional association with a brand. Let's throw a brand out there. And Andre, use your thumb up or thumb down. Okay. Facebook. How do you feel about the Facebook brand?
Yeah, I'm in between because I use it a lot, so I
use it, but I feel this about the Facebook brand. Because there's a lot of reasons about it. Because there's
especially where the brand has gone since 2020, the leverage it has, and
changed their interfaces. They changed a lot of things which were very disruptive, and some of their stuff don't work. And then they are in the news for things and privacy, and there's a lot of things. So the brand is being hurt. So a new player on the market that comes with a way better brand can actually wipe them off. Yep. This is what these technocrats don't think. They got so much money that somebody can't wipe you off. If you lose the people who support your brand because there's an emotional connection, they make an emotional association. So I use Facebook just because I have to. But let me tell you, as soon as somebody else comes around, I'm already on Paul on it. I would immediately, and probably Facebook would now ban this because I said this. Because that's the other thing that they're doing. Because I just dared to say something about it, it could probably ban the video. And that's the thing that absolutely would support the
I like what Gary Vee says, that he's not sold on the social media platforms to develop a brand. If something else comes along that's better, he'll use it. But the thing is, your brand stands alone from social presence. That's the thing that it should, if you talk about Coca-Cola or something, they don't need Facebook or TV or whatever. The brand is established. And that's what they've did via years and years of brand development and just making sure. And I think that's maybe also a big thing, is just not many companies only want to get brand out there to sell. It's not really to provide value or to get your brand noticeable. But sometimes you just give free value and free whatever's out there just so people can know who you are. And if the need arises, they know, okay, that's the brand. I won't buy a lawnmower every day, but if I want to go, I see Fox lawnmowers. That's the one that comes to my mind. That's the brand that I know. So that's the one that I'll go to whenever the need arises.
You know which one I remember? And it shows you how powerful story is now.
Yes.
When I was young, there was this guy driving through Africa with a lawnmower, and then he meets somebody from this country. And he meets this king from this country in Africa. And then this king says, Dr. Livingston, I suppose. Then he says, that's right.
Yeah.
And then they're all saying, because he paved the way through Africa, and they're saying,
Yes.
Rolex Magnum. So there was
That's the
a
brand. There you go.
that's a brand.
Yeah.
But I remember the story of how everywhere in Africa there was a lawnmower, but that they used in front to go through the jungle. But you summarize it, Andre, and that is that your brand, the benefits of your brand is so important that it produces loyalty. You buy Coke because you're loyal. It creates awareness. It creates differentiation. I always say you've got to be different. If you look like X7 Solutions and P9 Personnel Solutions and X9 Personnel Solutions, you're just another one
Solutions.
among. You're just another one of those. You've got to be differentiated.
And disruptive
the moment you
in this
do
age.
the brand gives increased perceived value.
Yeah.
Think about Apple. I mean, we always talk about Apple, but Apple gives you an increased perceived value. Because people who feel Apple, they have an emotional connection. Go speak to someone who has an Apple. There's an emotional connection with that Apple, and they will look down on you because you have Android, and they will tell you, you got to move. You got to move. I mean, I've got friends that constantly bugs me with it.
Once you go Mac, you never go back, they say. So.
Yeah, of course. But
yeah.
But so, and once the brand benefits is that it increases revenue. And that's why when we talk about overall brand strategy, and that's why your story brand is part of a bigger brand strategy. And you got to know that there's a user experience concerning your branding. I mean, if I tell you user experience and I think about Coca-Cola, and I remember when I used to do triathlons, and you get in a marathon, the best thing is that Coca-Cola table. You get you up to 50 kilometers and you get you that ice cold Coke.
Just boosts.
It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. There's a user experience. Your product has a user experience.
A little bit of euphoria.
It's so important. So there's so many things with branding. You can go, I mean, we can talk about from your branding guidelines, but that's, and I would say the best is to do a little bit of research concerning branding, because branding is something that consistently develop and experiment, and you measure and you develop and experiment until you get that sweet spot.
Yeah, nothing of this is almost to encourage people that you don't procrastinate on something. Just get out there and do MVP, get feedback loops, get your brand out, test it with people, that they give you feedback on how your brand is displayed and what they see from it. Is this what you want to communicate? I mean, practical examples to get it word out there. Yeah.
Andre, brand success is easier to see than brand failure. All these guys have had brand success. Go take a look at the brand failure as they tested and developed and tried this and tried that and tried that, and eventually. So get your stuff out of there. But I want you to know that the customer at the end ultimately controls your brand.
Yeah.
You're a brand manager of that, but they control it. They're going to either endorse it and go, yes, we support this brand.
And it's valuable. We want to use it. That's why. I think that's why I moved to Apple, because the value that I found in my particular situation of creativity and video editing, and I mean, there's awesome products out there, but the ones that Apple at that moment provided, no one else did, and that's why I went Apple. That was part of my Apple story.
Well, think about this. If you really, and I'm going to end with this because we can go so deep.
We have our time is, but
maybe, do you mind if I do a small little demonstration on a whiteboard?
Sure.
Okay, can you see the whiteboard?
Not yet. It's still sharing. There we go.
Okay. So think about branding in this way, that you have, that's not the nicer circle, but this is useful. You want your product and your brand to be useful. I mean, the person's got to be able to use it. If they can't use your brand, if it's some pie in the sky flying somewhere high, like thing and nobody quite knows what this is all about. It's too deep to understand and there's no practicality to it. You want your brand to be what I call enjoyable. Somebody got to be enjoy your brand. I mean, Coca-Cola is very useful. You can use it in a marathon. Sorry, if I'm looking to this way, I'm drawing on a screen here.
No, it's fine.
Got to be enjoyable. But then there's a third circle here, guys, and that is that you want your brand must be not just useful, but usable.
Oh, yes. And basically, if you overlap all three of those, the sweet spot is...
That's the one that you want.
Yes.
This is what Apple has done. This is a great experiences. GE, a great experience. And that is Apple. So Apple have done this perfectly in positioning themselves as a brand, is that they have created it's very useful. I mean, Steve Jobs took existing concepts and he just did this. He was a mastermind with this. But he created this great experience. It's highly useful. Besides usable, with Apple, it's enjoyable. This is the one thing that people have found with Android. It wasn't so enjoyable a lot of times. It wasn't so enjoyable, but Apple is an enjoyable experience. Windows, it's useful, it's usable, but enjoyable. I mean, if you worked with Windows, you know that it just, it's not the same as Apple. So that's important. If you can hit this sweet spot with your brand, that's really the sweet spot.
That's where you want to go. But you can basically do a mini assessment on your own brand, just those three areas, and just see, okay, how can we further develop our brand? But I think we were close to an hour now. John, thanks again for your wisdom and insight and just experiences in this area. If you guys wanted to book a free discovery meeting with our whole super team, you can do that for free. We offer free 45-minute sessions. I'll share the link in the comments section. And if you're looking at this, reminder, or tell us about a cool brand that you think meets this criteria. I see Janine has commented here: Nike, Apple, Kentucky, and Travel Start are brands that really communicate the story well. And I've also linked the book about building a story brand. If you guys wanted to have a look at that, and I think in the coming sessions, I also linked our previous video about MVP, about getting your product out, minimum viable product. If you guys wanted to have a look at it on our YouTube channel, please share this. Please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all our pages on Facebook. And really, thanks for watching. And if you're watching this on a later stage, feel free to comment and we'll answer the best we can and connect you with whoever, or if we can meet that need, we will do so. John, thanks again. Any closing remarks from your side?
No, that's from my side. All I could say is what we'll do is we'll put one of those sheets out somewhere in a PDF.
Oh, yes.
And we'll put it on our website. What we'll do is we'll make it available on our website, www.supersystems, DNASupersystems.com, make it available. And for those who really want to go sit and plot and plan the process. That's all I can say. Always go, your planning has got to be greater than your execution. You got to make sure that you plan it properly. That's one thing that we do. We go map everything, and we process it, and then we execute it, because there's certain things that you don't miss then. But we'll put it out there, and we'll share a link later on, and then people can just download and maybe make use of that worksheet to help them in their brand.
I'll add that link as soon as it's up and running on our side. Thanks again, John. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next week with another innovation session, and hope you have a beautiful week. We'll see you later.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys. Bye.